Hey everyone, welcome to your daily update. Let's start with liquidity, and we have a Prime Day, so no wonder we have gone and initiated that lovely liquidity grab that we've sort of been waiting on for a while. Um, so we've done a pretty good clearance of the 1 day liquidity on both SOL and BTC, but being a Prime Day, the only structural close today is a 1 day. So it's the perfect day to be going down and spending a bit more time trying to grab some deeper stuff as well. So um, if we continue on down on the 7 day, which is looking quite bullish still on BTC, then that sort of allows it to hit that big 115K cluster or keep on going down. That would mean that we still see more downside to SOL. However, SOL was in a bit of a funny situation yesterday where it got really sticky around the monthly trend and didn't go and take the liquidity in that sort of 190 plus area that's available on the 30-day charts. Um, but I guess at the end of the day, it wasn't. It was really heavily loaded to the downside, and there just weren't really that many shorts. So there wasn't a lot of reason, because at the end of this is all just wealth transfer. It's major players taking liquidations and stop losses from the downside, and then they go and they sell that to the upside, etc. So when you get something like SOL, where there wasn't really a lot of shorts to be taken, something like BTC, where there was tons of shorts to be taken, then you find that one of them just sort of gets stuck there while the other one goes and does its thing in its liquidations before reversing. And what's going to most likely happen, looking at this liquidity now, is that same sort of thing's going to happen in reverse. SOL's going to find a level of support, and once it hits that level of support, it's probably going to be quite sticky, whereas BTC might still actually push further to the downside. And so, of course, you'll get a little bit more downside, obviously, on SOL, but it will flip its strength because there's just no point selling a token down if there's just not really the equivalent piles of leverage to be grabbing there. So still thinking 160s, 150s, even sort of those deep targets. If the liquidity becomes worth grabbing, those deep targets down there at 143, 144 are definitely a high time frame possibility on SOL. And still looking for that 110K area on BTC. Although 115 is the thing that's got quite a bit of confluence to it at the moment on BTC. So let's have a look at our charts. So the only close we're going to get today, being a Prime Day, is a 1 day. So the thesis kind of around Prime Day is that they can keep on dropping the price, go through a bunch of high time frame structural levels, grab a whole bunch of liquidity, move really violently, and the only close that matters today is 1 day. And it doesn't take a lot of time to undo a 1 day close, and as long as the price, of course, gets realigned with where they want it to be before the end of tomorrow's close, then there isn't really any major high time frame closes coming in. Because that's the thing about Prime Days. You basically get that 48-hour window to create chaos, go liquidate, stop people out. But not just that, you also get the ability to stay down at those prices for a while, which is a whole nother psychological issue, because if someone's in drawdown and they're still in drawdown a day later and they start to think it's never going to change and it's only going to go deeper and they're going to lose everything, then they might go and close their position. You can't do that kind of thing on a regular day because you've always got high time frame and low time frame structural closes and alignments that need to happen every single day. But when you get to these Prime Days, well, they can have a bit of fun with people, both their liquidations and their emotions. So this 1 day close on SOLBTC Strength, if it closes here and doesn't pull back up in the next hour and 27 minutes, it would have to get back up sort of to about that. I mean, it'd be lovely if it got back up to 15178 to be above that trend. But realistically, if it closes down where it is or anywhere sort of below this range trend here, which is about 14925, then you'd expect it to come back up and possibly even have a rejection off the back of that. Although nothing in that range trend is hard closed yet. So, in the next 24 hours, it can recover all that. It hasn't lost the trend at this stage. It's just a dive of the trend. So let's have a look at dominance. So we've got our break level bounce going on BTC and USDT and USDC dominance. So that's just quite a normal sort of structural move. So it's hit the break level. It's bouncing back to test the trend that's in play, the downtrend, and that obviously helps with the dump in alts and that kind of thing that we're seeing at the moment. So 66.9, somewhere around there, it's probably going to hit that trend. You'd have to have a look at it on a lower time frame just to sort of get a bit more accuracy. Let's have a look. Oh, that's on the wrong chart. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, 66.87 would be a retest of the 3-day downtrend after hitting the 3-day break level. So that would imply that we're going to see a little bit more pain as that goes up. This is just TA magic. This is exactly what you cannot do, and this is what a liquidity sweep looks like. So on the total market cap, you can see it just pushes straight through the break level and straight into the high time frame resistance. So yeah, it was a goner from there. So it hit that. It's retracing. It's not going to hard close this downtrend today. The next candle could, which would be positive, and then this would become support. I mean, there's a slim chance that that pushes back up above 363T and becomes a yellow close. If it does, then that trend relocates all the way up to there, which gives you sort of some more resistance, but at least it's out from underneath it as it currently is here now, underneath it still, above it but not broken. So if this just continues its rejection, it's going to head back down to this trend down here at 350, etc. So yeah, that's definitely pretty solid rejection going on there. And this is probably the key one to watch for today because it's the only close today. We've just hit the 1-day trend now. Look at it on the lower time frame there. So this 173 level either has a bounce back to around 179, or because 179 is technically not a closed hold level yet, what needs to happen is we need to stay above this trend, and we need to stay above this trend here for daily close, in which case it could then bounce that trend and head back to that 179 hold level as a little bit of a rally. It may not go any higher than that because the purpose of that hold level is to try and break that trend, so it just becomes a game between the two parts. I mean, it could, highly unlikely, but in the next 1 hour and 22 minutes, it could just go all the way back up again because technically that is not a level of resistance until close. The other thing that could happen is it could move back up and then open. It could open that candle, anywhere sort of like 177 or something, then go up, hit the hold, and then dump back to have another go at the trend. So this is really the only close that's actually of any real importance today, and seeing that it's already hit that trend in the next hour and 22 minutes, if they want to break the price further down, what they're going to do is they're going to bring that down towards close, and they're going to allow the next candle to open on the underside of that trend, and then they're going to be able to use it as resistance to actually push down further, in which case you start to see that 160 level. But the good news about that 160 level is it should be able to send the price back up to the trend, maybe even to the hold, which will be an established hold at that point. So see how that goes. It could actually bounce from here. This is a viable place. Let's have a look at BTC. The BTC on the 1 day, as you can see, it pushed through all those break levels, rejected. Yep, we saw that coming. So, and at the moment it's just a nothing. If it was to close over 119239.9, that becomes something a little bit different. But at this stage, it's really just a nothing close. It's a deviation of trend. Still technically holding that support, which is really good. So if they actually want to break BTC down further over the coming day, they're going to want to push this down and probably close the day. Close that day. Ideally, around 18,270 would be a starting point to close that day in a quote-unquote bad place. If they were to push it down even further than that and close the day below any of these break levels, or even back below that trend, which is about 117.9, or really bearish would be pushing it down below 117.5, because that'd be below that break level. That'd be bad. There should be a bit of relief if it wicks down here and hits that 116.6. That would send it back up to the trend. So yeah, you've sort of got that 115 level, which is kind of that back side of that candle through there. So that'd be something on a slightly different time frame, but those sort of levels down there, if it was to continue on its sweep of liquidity, you might see that they become ladder points for little bounces as it moves down. And it's got a range trend coming through here at about 114. And I think everyone would expect 114 to be a level to hold, which I think is actually probably a little bit tricky, because if it loses that on the daily, then 107 is the sort of recovery level, or maybe here 110. Yippee, there it is. So I would be real cautious about longing 114. I think if it actually gets there, because too many people actually think 114 is this really strong level, because it was repetitively visited and then prices sort of gone up from there. But the way I would see that is all it really takes is for it to close a 1 day candle under that 114 level. And if it does that, it's straight down to 110. And if 110 gets dived, or if 110 doesn't hold, then it's down here at 107. So it can be some pretty big falls through here, some pretty fast drops. So just keep that in mind. If that didn't hold at 107, then it's 102, which 102 on the daily is the monthly. There's another 115 rejection support. Pretty sure. Yeah. So 102 is the retest of the monthly break. So yeah, I would not put those targets aside. They're definitely still possible. And I think if we hit that kind of thing, even with SOL being really sticky and not necessarily having so much liquidity below 143 or 150s to grab, I think you'd probably still see those lower levels. So for now, let's just see how they decide to finish this Prime Day. And I think it's pretty fair to say that if we actually get just looking at that, next pretty decent scalp is probably going to be based on the daily. If we do get, just quickly check this. Where that trend is actually sitting. So you may get something around here and sort of something around where it is now after close. If it closes above this range trend, you might get a push back up to 179, which could be a decent sort of scalp to take. If it pushes down and loses this trend, then be looking for something between 166 and 163 for a move back to retest the backside of the range trend, which would be sort of like your 174. And if it dives that range trend to test these levels, then same sort of thing applies, but all the way back up to 179. So that could be nice little range to take something in. It should be pretty unencumbered by, yeah, so that's, depending on where this has come from a higher time frame, your trends are where trends are all the way up here. So that's looking pretty good. I think just a little bit of patience, see how this level plays, see how this close plays, and then take it up to there, or if it dives here back up to there, if it dives further, still back up to there. Just, yeah, that's about all we've got for today. The only other thing I suppose is worth pointing out is that this was, there you go, here we go, core CPI. We've basically got high impact financial news coming on Wednesday, which kind of makes perfect sense, really. So Monday, Tuesday, the days where they can have whatever fun they want, and realistically by Wednesday they need to be sorting out structure again. So we always seem to have things in the right place at the right time to actually flip trends. So, and for those who were sort of watching the previous videos about, you know, the weekend trap and all that kind of thing, if you look back and think about that now, what was happening Friday through Monday, we were just pumping out of the weekend. We even got a couple of Trump tweets about how the markets are so awesome and all that kind of stuff, and that was basically a local top when that happened. And then, as you can see, we're now heading into trapping and liquidating all of the longs and everyone who got bullish over the weekend. So yeah, that's welcome to markets and how they tend to move. So yeah, hope you got something out of that. Like and subscribe and come join us in the Discord, and we'll look again tomorrow at all the closes that are pending and see what we can make of it. Cheers. Bye.